Hi, friend. Welcome to the Divinely Aligned channel. Okay, so this morning I was doing my normal meditation connection session where I just sit and connect to my high self, to my superconscious mind, to the divine for me, and really just let the clarity, confirmation, whatever needs to come through, inspiration. And today it was just really powerful what came through, and I felt like I needed to share it. So, what came through, to summarize, was basically this like visualization of myself 10 years ago. And it was really real. Like I felt like I was back there. And then what I heard and received from the divine was, what would you tell her? What would you tell her to do? And I just started crying because thinking to myself, even now, 10 years ago, I was really on the inside in a lot of pain. I was really lost. I was running my yoga studio. I was working 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, showing up for everyone, trying to do everything for everyone, to help everyone see how great they are. No different really than now, except for I was completely neglecting myself. I felt so insecure within like loving myself and taking care of myself. I didn't feel worthy of it. I didn't feel enough, but I felt like I was a good enough person if I kept just doing what I knew I needed to do for everyone else and showing everyone else themselves. So when I went back to that time and I can just connect to how much I was like hurting myself on the inside while really projecting this like happy, healthy person that I was, except for in the way that mattered the most, which was my own self-love and knowing and connection, right? I was moving my body every day. I was at that point feeding myself well. I was, I had a lot of great connections and relationships and friendships, probably too many, but I was also so overwhelmed and constantly just trying to be something for everyone, trying to fill all these roles. Anyways, so when the divine took me back there, and I really thought about it, and then I've thought about it since too, but I really thought about what I would tell myself then, and specifically what I would tell myself to do. What came through the loudest was nothing. Like, not, I would tell myself to do nothing, to stop, like, makes me emotional, to stop trying so fucking hard, to stop exhausting myself trying to be what I thought everyone else needed me to be, and abandoning myself every day for that. And yes, I loved the life that I'd created. I'd created this dream. I was proud in ways, but not in the way that truly mattered, because I knew how little love I had for myself and how little self-respect I had and self-compassion. And no matter how much good I did, I could always see 10 more things I could have done, and all the things that I did or said that could have been better, or whatever it was. But now I see everything was exactly how it needed to. But that was just what came through so loud for me, was just like, don't, like, just do what you're doing. Because I would love now, and now I am, in the process of creating something I thought I would never do again. But I'll share more on that in the future. But so it's just, all makes sense as to why this came through, because I've spent the last 5 years being so committed to finding myself and healing myself, and promised myself that no matter what I did within my career, my business, I wouldn't do anything that meant that I was abandoning or losing myself. Yes, I'm busy, and yes, I'm doing a lot, but I love every fucking minute of it. Even the challenges, even the pain, like, I'm in it and I love it and I'm growing through it. I'm not avoiding and running and numbing, and I'll get into later videos as to all of that. But what I wanted to bring through today was, I want you to ask yourself that. So just right now, you can close your eyes or keep them open, but just breathe. Whatever you're doing, you could be listening to me and driving, whatever it is, making dinner, or you're just sitting there. If you can close your eyes, close your eyes. If you can't, that's fine. But just breathe, like fully, completely inhale into your belly, exhale out. Feel what is here to feel. Allow yourself to reveal yourself here and now. And as you breathe, like just think of yourself 10 years ago. Like wherever you go to, as to you 10 years from now, ago, right? Whatever age you are now, 10 years ago. What memory, what reality, where were you? What were you doing? Where do you go? How did you feel? How are you being? What were you doing? And right now, from everything that you have grown through, however you have, in the last 10 years, what would you tell that version of you? What would you tell yourself 10 years ago? You can pause me if you want to like breathe and be in this for a bit, because I know I did. Like I went through, and I'll bring through a practice in the future for this, but it's just felt like a conversation today of just like being with yourself. We can all go there, right? You can go there. It doesn't need to be some fancy process. Just think of any time in your life roughly 10 years ago and think more so of how you felt, of what you were doing, of how you felt about yourself. What would you tell yourself? Now, I want you to see where you are now in your reality with what you're doing. Are you still treating yourself that way? Are you still doing, like, what would you give yourself that same advice now? Because I know for me, I also needed this reality check because I have been getting a little bit lost in all of my dreams and in all the magical things happening. And I'm just a hyper creative person. Like there's no lack of creativity within me, and every creative spark ignites 10 million more, it feels like. And I have so many passions and dreams and desires that I can get really overwhelmed and lose myself. And so just when I connected and listened to the divine, and so they basically did what I'm saying for you now, was when I said like nothing, then they called me out and like, so what would you tell yourself now from that perspective? And to just look and see like the parallels and the in the realities for me of now from 10 years ago was really wild. And then seeing how much I needed that reminder that I don't have to do anything. I just have to be. I just have to be. And when I look back to myself 10 years ago at where I was at and what I was doing and everything, then the last 10 years have brought, if I could have just been as I'm being now, been present and being who I want to be and showing up, like I still would have done all those same things, but I'm sure I would have been a lot more successful. I would have in the way of I would have enjoyed it more. I would have been healthier. I would have been happier. I would have been more satisfied. But I wasn't meant to then. I'm not telling you to do this because then we were going to wish that it was different. I wanted to bring up in you whatever you would tell yourself. So now you can see you only have now to choose that. You only have now to choose that. You can see that. You can have compassion. You can have understanding. See in those 10 years if you had that knowing. So for me, when I look like just a hyper flash of me 10 years ago, to me now, if I had the understandings that I have now, the learnings, the embodiment that I have now of who I am, and really truly getting that we don't have to do anything, just by being us, the doing will be done. Like it's that simple. That's like one of the greatest lessons I have learned in the last 10 years, and yours is going to be different, or maybe it's the same. But then I can see through that 10 years how much nicer things might have been. Not because I want to change that, because I can't. But I can take that and I can alchemize it into my future. So I feel like this came through for me now. So because the divine was like, don't go back there. Don't forget about yourself. Don't forget about everything you've learned. Because I was on the last weekend, I was very overwhelmed with all of the things I want to do, and I was getting a little bit into like making sure I was showing up for just all the things that are conditioned ways of being that are in me, that are a part of my journey, but aren't me anymore. They aren't my reality anymore, but they're still there, right? Where we constantly have to check ourselves before we wreck ourselves, because we can go back into these patterns so easily because our unconscious knows them. So if you're living super consciously and showing up as the version of you want to be, you have to be in the now. And these things are going to still be triggered and activated within us, but it's always an opportunity for us to step more into who we want to be. So I'm so grateful for this magic that happened this morning, and I knew I had to share it like as soon as possible, because it was so powerful for me to see, and to see where right now where I'm at in life, how much I know because of that reflection, that just having this reminder is going to be so powerful, because I truly do know that me just being me and following the good energy and doing what I want to do and living authentically is how I'm going to create this lifestyle brand and all these things that I'm currently doing. And 7 days ago, when I was super stuck and fine to be in it, I was fine. I also knew Mercury was doing all sorts of shit. Like I knew all the reasons the cosmos were activating this within me. So I was just letting myself be in it. But I cried. Like there were 48 hours where I cried more than I didn't, I think. And I knew I was releasing and feeling it. I'm sharing this too because it's okay to not be okay, but I was still there. I was present. I was happy. I was evolving. I was experiencing it. I was choosing to experience it instead of numbing and running and avoiding, or doing what I do in the past of just making it about everyone else and feeling like, well, if I'm feeling this and everyone else is, and I need to go and heal and preach and record. And I didn't want to record anything. I just wanted to be with myself. So I trusted that. Whereas then today, all I wanted to do was get on and record. And I'm sharing all of this because this is how we're all designed to be, but in your own way. In your own way. It's your journey. And so I'm hoping that this is giving you something whenever you're finding this, you're meant to just have this reality check. Like, really, that's what I'm here for, is to give these daily fucking reality checks, because otherwise we just keep living unconsciously, creating realities based in the past. But when we can check our vibe, check our frequency, check in the now, breathe and feel, and then choose to be who we want to be, how we want to be, to do what we want to do in the now. It's so powerful. It's so powerful. So whatever this activated in you, know that it was on purpose, and know that you're hearing this because you are here to be a leader of light and love in this world. You are here to be at a higher level of consciousness, anchoring the light into the third dimension and the fourth dimension, expanding consciousness. Which maybe you know, and maybe you don't. Maybe that sounds overwhelming, but it's really the most effortless thing ever. It's just being you and choosing to do what feels good for you. That's it. It's enjoying life. It's playing. It's experiencing. It's evolving. Doesn't mean you don't have hard days, because we're still fucking human. You chose to be human. You chose to be on this journey. You chose to have all the things that have happened in the last 10 years, all happened. How they happened. It was what it was. It all brought you here. It was all magic and miracles. But I guarantee you, the more conscious and awake and aware you live, and the more you follow your own advice, whatever it is you just gave yourself, because you're giving yourself that advice for a reason. You don't have to figure it out. You don't have to know why. Just trust in whatever came through and live, because that is how you're going to enjoy your life, living it, being free, living limitlessly. But you're here on a human journey. If you were just meant to be pure divine love and light, you would be. You chose to collapse down into this human reality, into the density of this earth, but you have the ability to be conscious in any and every moment, because you are consciousness. That is what you are. So when you're here now, living consciously, connected to your superconscious mind that sees and conceives and knows all and speaks to you through good energy and frequency, that is how you start to see your reality being limitless. It really is. But you're the only one that can do it. So I really hope that you take your own advice, listen to whatever came through for you. If anything from my advice helps you, then take that too. And I know I'm personally going to use this a lot. I'm going to use this a lot. I'm going to go back to that. I've done a lot of this in the past, like going back to what I'd say to my inner child or even my teenage self, but just 10 years, because we are not the same. Like every cell in our body is different than we were 10 years ago. But we trap ourselves in these beliefs and conditioned thoughts and bullshit that tell us that we need to do or be anything that we don't enjoy. You're not the same as you were 10 years ago, and you shouldn't be. But everything that you've been through and everything that you experienced was for you. And so it's all happened for you to see. Whatever you're needing to see today and whatever is coming through for you is going to help you live more limitlessly. I promise you. I promise you. You are your greatest source of information. You are your greatest source of advice. It's just that you need to tap into and get the information from your superconscious mind, not from your unconscious or self-conscious mind, because they're limited in their view. They don't know how good it gets to be. Your humanness can never comprehend. So follow the frequency and energy and live limitlessly. Okay. Love you lots.